So what ended up happening over the course of the last 9 or so years is we see a increasing trend of where Liberal insiders getting appointed to these high-profile positions that were making decisions that led to Liberals getting rich. That's truly what it came down to. And in the recent Auditor General report that was released, we see some incredibly troubling allegations. As a member of the Ethics Committee and as somebody who has watched carefully the development of some of these things, as we've been clawing for answers, trying to get the most basic answers from this government so that Canadians can see where the money went. And it's not government's money. I think that's something that's so often forgotten about. It is not government's money that's being spent, government's money that's being wasted, government's money that is going to make liberal insiders rich. No, Madam Speaker. It is the hard-earned dollars of Canadians that is collected in taxes by the government. And for Canadians to look and see millions upon millions of dollars being misappropriated, conflicts of interest that are truly an embarrassment to what is supposed to be the most basic level of accountability. So, Madam Speaker, what are we asking? Well, we're asking for all of the documents to be handed over so that Canadians can ultimately get answers, and a timeline on that of 14 days. It's simple, it's common sense. So we've introduced this motion that is to try to bring forward that accountability. But let me highlight for a moment, if I could, Madam Speaker, what the Auditor General found that is so troubling at SDTC, the Liberals' Green Slush Fund. We have 90 cases where the conflict of interest rules and policies were not followed. 90 cases. We're not talking about 1 or 2 mistakes. We're talking about 90 cases where conflict of interest policies were not followed. There was $76 million on projects connected to Liberals' friends appointed to run the SDTC. $76 million. That is more money than most Canadians could ever dream of seeing. Further, he spends $59 million on projects that were not allowed to have been awarded any money. So again, we're not talking about just conflict of interest. Maybe somebody called somebody or whatever the case is, but Madam Speaker, $59 million spent on projects that were not even allowed to have been awarded any money. And $12 million on projects that were both a conflict of interest and ineligible for funding. It is absolutely astounding. And Madam Speaker, there is an instance that we saw and have had a chance to talk a little bit about this at the Ethics Committee, but where the hand-picked chair, the Prime Minister's hand-picked chair, awarded herself, her company, the company that she was a principal of, $217,000. Can you believe that? $217,000 was given to the chair of SDTC. So when we talk about it being this liberal green slush fund, Madam Speaker, it truly is just that, because you see an entity that has that in dozens and dozens of cases with more than $100 million, we see that dollars went, hard-earned taxpayers' money that was paid to government through taxes, was paid to Liberal insiders. Now, Madam Speaker, the response has been thus far, the ministers stand up and say, don't worry, we solved the problem. We're folding it into the ministry. Don't worry about it, there's nothing to see here. Well, Madam Speaker, we have seen time and time again that Liberals simply cannot be trusted when it comes to accountability, when it is their management of this organization that led to the disaster that we have before us. Madam Speaker, it is hard to believe that in the context of where we are today that this even needs to be said, but no one in Canada is above the law.